Thank you so much, Cate, for passing me the glass. I really enjoyed your discussion. So in terms of a statistic, I think there's been a lot out there to illustrate the world's water crisis and data that tells us the serious situation that we're in. So today I'd like to point out something that I find really compelling and often runs through my head in everyday life. And that is 20% of the world's population consumes 80% of the world's natural resources. So I find this compelling because it's a simple but really stark illustration. So in this case, it talks about overconsumption, it refers to wealth inequality, but it also has a really strong message for the world's water crisis because it raises real questions to understand the targeting of solutions and the patterns that we really need to examine. It highlights the disparity in resource consumption between different parts of the world as well. There's other data out there that puts a slightly different angle on that statistic. So for instance, high-income countries are responsible for 74% of excess resource use, even though they make up only 16% of the global population. That's from a study in the Lancet. So why is this such a huge issue with water? So first of all, I'm pretty sure affluence doesn't cause increased thirst. So instead, this data can really make us think about the enormous quantities of water needed to satisfy growing global demand for food, clothes, manufactured consumer products, and infrastructure. So all of these activities cause higher levels of pollution as well, and that has huge implications on water. The natural resources to fuel growth are enormous. Anything grown, consumed, built, transported, and manufactured impacts on water. So that's why water should be factored into all considerations on goods, services, and into management decisions as well. This is really interesting to me because it also ties the water community in with other important communities, food, climate, nature, and this overarching discussion on consumption and production is something that's important for all of these communities. So what do I want other people to see water differently? I think there are three things. One is to reiterate what Cate said brilliantly in the last video, and that is water is not infinite. So we're moving towards a water resource deficit. Two is the inequality frame. So many of us who have worked in water for many years, the 2006 Human Development Report argued that poverty, power, and inequality are at the heart of the water crisis. So this is still the case, and in fact, it's getting worse. So the third thing I'd highlight is the globalized dimensions of water. So that's the idea that water resources are embedded in manufactured products or food products and can be produced in locations that are even water stressed and then shipped to locations that are water rich. So this is really important to understand more about. So because water is very much a part of or input to traded goods. So all of these things, the resource deficit, the inequality dimensions, and the global dimensions of water should all be considered together. The Fair Water Footprint, which is an FCDO, UK FCDO program, is raising really interesting questions about all of these things. And it's actually providing a view of how water is used and managed throughout global supply chains. So what gives me hope? When I started out on my water journey about 25 years ago, I actually started out in WASH programs working in different countries. So at that time, I think there was a genuine belief that you could create a technical siloed solution, work on that system and contextualize it, scale it, and that was it. So I think technical innovation is still critically important, but my hope is that we're finally coming to a period of convergence and thinking about how we address these big, seemingly insurmountable challenges like the world's water crisis. So we all want to cohabitate on a livable planet, and we're getting to the point of moving past illustrations of crises and more towards solutions that provide co-benefits across sectors. So there's stronger convergences across net zero, climate, water, food, nature, and pollution. This is all becoming more possible. So in water, the scale of the challenges are huge. These are urgent system-wide issues. There's so many issues to tackle and so many solutions to navigate, but we need to use the tools we have to redirect and understand the systems that are in place to reflect all the trajectories that are needed. that include regulation, trade policy, procurement, and more. So one of those tools that has already a huge amount of buy-in for actors, including large and listed companies and their suppliers, is the international standards system that's embodied by ISO. So international standards have been in place for a very long time, and they're very effective at getting processes out to people who need it the most, and they're integral in bringing scale to supply chains. So clients, suppliers, and all organizations need to be clear on procedures. And there's actually a huge architecture surrounding this system that's already set out. It's called quality infrastructure. And this is the interplay between standards, conformity assessment, and accreditation, because quality needs to underpin everything. So I would like to pass the glass to Glada Lahn at Chatham House. So she is one of the people who is driving the Fair Water Footprints program, which I spoke of earlier, and I'm really interested to hear what she has to say.